Well, last night was the Nevada Democratic debate, the only debate left before the Nevada caucuses, which I believe this Saturday. And it was also the first debate in which old Michael Bloomberg got a chance to strut his stuff. And the reviews are in, and it's pretty unanimous that he did terrible. Of course, honestly, I don't think that this is as big of a news as other people are making it out to be, because as far as I'm concerned, this was already baked in the cake. Like, Bloomberg sucks. He's terrible. Nobody likes him. We knew this going into this, that he's not good at talking. He's not a good politician. His big, selling point is that he has lots of money. To be honest, I do kind of admire about Bloomberg that he is an unabashed, just, top down, I want to control your life kind of oligarch. He doesn't lie about that. He doesn't pretend to be all about the little guy and stuff like that. He's very upfront about being an unlikable, human being who looks down on the rest of the species. He wants to be everyone's nanny and be the arbiter of how we should and should not behave. And that's not a likable trait. People who act like that and are open about it are just not likable by nature. And so we shouldn't expect Bloomberg to do well in this kind of setting. We should expect exactly what we got last night, which was, that he did terribly. He has one line, I guess. He had one moment of the debate, which of course was pre-planned, that, went somewhat well for him. And that was his quip about Bernie saying that, hey, the most well-known socialist in America is a millionaire with 3 houses. Isn't that great? What does that say about us, that even, the socialist who wants to take down capitalism is a super rich guy like me? Hehe. Sorry, that's my best Bloomberg voice. I'm not too good at that. So, that's all you're going to get out of me. But, and Bernie was somewhat, I think, visibly, flabbergasted by that, saying like, oh, well, I live in 3 places, so I have 3 houses. Ho ho. And he didn't say much. And then he also, walked right into, and gave Bloomberg a good comeback, a good second hit, by saying, hey, Mr. Bloomberg, you get so up in arms about where I live. Well, where's your house? What tax haven do you live in? And of course, Bloomberg responded, obviously, anyone who knows who Michael Bloomberg is should know this. He lives in New York City, one of the most heavily taxed places on earth. And so Bernie's defense was to try and go after Bloomberg, and he, just, I don't know, he just walked right off a cliff. Like, why would you say that? I mean, Bernie, this is the mayor of New York City. Of course he lives in New York City. You know that. And so that was, the one clip that Bloomberg's campaign could tweet out today, that made him look good. There's another clip that they put out, but that one actually is a meme. And of course, people are saying, oh, it's deceptively edited, which to me, it was obviously a comedic thing. If you took it seriously, I don't know. I guess it wasn't totally obvious, but still, you should have figured out that after, because what happened was Bloomberg said, so I'm the only one on this stage who's ever started a business. Is that right? And then they're followed by 20 seconds of silence from all the other candidates and crickets in the background. So obviously, that was edited, to be funny. Okay? And so all the lefties, who are coming out and bashing Bloomberg's campaign for deceptively editing a clip, please, give me a break. And so I admit those 2 clips were kind of good, and they were, I guess a good way of trying to cover up for everything bad else that happened last night. So basically, Bloomberg was taking it from all sides. He was getting it from Bernie and Warren, and Warren said, that he called women horse-faced lesbians. And repeated other things that Bloomberg is accused of saying. Basically said, oh, he's bad because he's a misogynist. And so people are focusing on Warren's attacks on Bloomberg because, of course, Warren is trying to claw back some support. Warren is pretty much dead as far as I'm concerned. She's dead in the water. She has no chance. She didn't place anywhere of significance in Iowa or New Hampshire, so I don't see how she's going to have a comeback now. And so she's kind of grasping at straws here. So it was good for her to go after Bloomberg. However, Warren going after Bloomberg is not going to do, him any harm. Bloomberg, has the sort of anti-progressive vote. He has the default Democrat and the establishment Democrat and the moderate Democrat vote. That's what Bloomberg's going for. He doesn't have to compete with Sanders or Warren. Warren has to compete with Sanders for votes from him. And I think Warren has pretty much lost that game. In fact, all she's doing by staying in the race is helping Bloomberg at this point, because, if Warren were to get out, most of her supporters probably would go to Sanders. So as far as I'm concerned, the two people who really, want to take Bloomberg down a peg, who benefit from Bloomberg's, perhaps, I wouldn't quite go so far as to say disintegration last night, but his battering, are Biden and Klobuchar. And Biden, I think, was very keen and aware of this, because he was trying to go after Bloomberg and attack him essentially from the left, which was interesting because Biden is not considered to be a far left guy, so he has some room. He's not going to see him like a left winger, even if he attacks Bloomberg from the left. It's kind of a hey, Bloomberg, who is an ex-Republican, he's so far right or moderate, however you want to look at it, that even I, Joe Biden, am calling him out as being, not far left enough to be in the Democratic Party. And he pointed out how Bloomberg opposed Obamacare, which, of course, was very popular amongst Democrats. And he also, tried to tie himself to Obama, which is smart because Obama is very popular amongst Democrats. So Biden, distancing Bloomberg from Obama and tying himself to Obama is a smart strategy. No, I still don't think that Biden has any chance in this race. I think that he's done. I think that he is, he's a lame duck. He's a dead man walking. But frankly, there's so many of them in this race. It's like, well, who am I to tell everyone to get out when really it looks to me like none of these candidates are particularly strong. Just because Biden is so weak, it doesn't make anyone else any stronger. I mean, Klobuchar certainly, doesn't have a chance as far as I'm concerned. Yet she's still in the race. Why should Biden get out when she's still there? And hell, look at Bloomberg. He hasn't even competed in any states yet. He's not even been, on the ballot anywhere. And then, of course, I forgot there's also that Mayor Pete Buttigieg, who is, again, in the same lane right now with Bloomberg. It seems to me like the establishment lane is quite crowded. You've got Bloomberg, you have Buttigieg, you have Klobuchar, and then you have, Biden. And the only one of the three, other than Bloomberg, who seems to have had shown some strength is Buttigieg, who marginally won the Iowa caucus, depending on how you look at it. Of course, he lost the popular vote to Bernie, so Bernie can credibly claim that he won both Iowa and New Hampshire as far as the vote is concerned. And, of course, delegate-wise, I believe that they are split even in Iowa. So, it's he didn't even win in terms of, national delegates in Iowa. But nevertheless, we're only 2 states down. So had he been, if he's able to, mount some kind of successful, putsch here in Nevada, where, again, Sanders should do very well, then, Buttigieg is still in this. I still maintain that Klobuchar and Biden, I don't think, have any path. But with Bloomberg in the race, I don't think that Buttigieg has a path either. These 4 candidates are, cannibalizing each other. And they're making it that much easier for Bernie to take the lead and to, run away with it, essentially. I said this before, but we're seeing the exact same pattern as what happened in 2016 with Donald Trump and the Republicans. The Republicans were all fighting over who's going to be the anti-Trump candidate, who's going, because it was clear that it's going to be Trump and somebody else. Those are going to be the 2 candidates to the race. But who the person other than Trump was, it took them a long time to hash that out, and it ended up being Ted Cruz. But by the time that they had whittled it down to just Ted Cruz, it was too late, and Trump had consolidated, and had built up momentum, and he was off to the races. Whereas, if all those candidates had gotten out of the race at the beginning, the anti-Trump vote would have, coalesced around one person, and Trump probably wouldn't have been the nominee. The same thing is true still right now about Sanders. If 3 of these, establishment middle of the road candidates got out of the race and all threw their support behind one of them, well then, Bernie probably would lose. Because, of course, we are coming up on the more moderate states where you don't have these, upper middle class, highly educated white people to vote for Bernie. You have, poor and minority folks, a lot of them. You're going to see that when we get into the southern primaries after Nevada. But if Sanders wins again in Nevada, and he's won essentially 3 states, the first 3 states, all 3 of them, he's going to have a lot of momentum moving forward, and so he's going to be able, I think, to do quite well in these upcoming primaries, even if he is naturally at a disadvantage, just because the bandwagoning effect by that point will become so strong, his momentum will be propelling him forward. But keep in mind, Bloomberg has unlimited resources, and he has been, waging the war in all of these upcoming states, in all of these, the Super Tuesday states mostly, for longer than any other candidate. He has totally skipped the early states and decided to focus entirely on this, so he has a huge, advantage as far as that's concerned. He's gotten a big head start over everyone else. And so I wouldn't count him out just yet, not by a long shot. Now, again, do I still think that he's the probable nominee? Of course not. No, I still think that the advantage goes to Sanders for now. But Bloomberg is not dead. Don't let people tell you that yet. We learned nothing new last night. Yes, everyone. Well, I shouldn't say everyone, but a lot of people generally, who knew about this, should have expected the results from last night, that he was going to do awful. So with that said, if you gained anything of value out of this video, I'd appreciate you clicking that like button and sharing this video. If you haven't already, please do subscribe, because I do upload every day, and I'd hate to have you miss one. So I'll see you folks back here tomorrow.